Billy Mitchell needs to be destroyed in court. He needs to be destroyed in court.
Billy Mitchell needs to be destroyed in court.
So these people need to be punished in a big way before they stop.
These people need to be punished in a big way before they stop.
They need to get taught a lesson. So I am now the last chance.
I am the last chance the public has to punish Billy.
And also, like, the last person on YouTube you want to lose to is me.
Yeah.
You know there's going to be 100 vids rubbing it in.
I will never let Billy forget this, assuming I win. I've got to win first, but man, if I win, oh boy, I'm not going to be a good winner.
I'm not going to be a good winner.
Oh, no.
And in Australia, when you lose, you generally almost always get awarded a judgment for costs, which means you've got to pay back a certain amount of the costs.
I have found that all of this conduct has caused Mr. Mitchell additional personal harm. It was severely aggravating conduct that merits an award of aggravated damages.
Because my costs are so high, Billy's looking at like a bill for like $300,000 or $400,000 when he loses.
I have concluded that there should be judgment for Mr. Mitchell in the sum of $300,000 for non-economic loss and $50,000 in aggravated damages.
So if I was Billy, I'd be shitting myself.
Mr. Jobst clearly intended to be the knight who slew the Mitchell dragon. Unfortunately for him, his lance was not as strong as he believed it to be, and it has broken in the contest.
Welcome back, everyone. Recently, I went down this rabbit hole of Karl Jobst versus Billy Mitchell, and honestly, I'm embarrassed. Embarrassed that I didn't know about this earlier, cause holy shit, this is something. To catch you guys up on the story, Karl Jobst is a YouTuber who makes videos about speedruns and cheaters in the gaming space. And one of his targets has been Billy Mitchell. Billy Mitchell is known for holding records on classic arcade games, mostly known for Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. And Karl Jobst argues that Billy Mitchell cheated. Now, did he cheat? I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. So why am I talking about this? Well, Billy Mitchell sued him for defamation for calling him a cheater in video games. Or at least that is what people thought for a very long time. But in reality, he was sued for, well, I'll just let him explain.
For the past 4 years, I have been in denial. Billy's lawsuit against me alleged that I accused Billy of being a major contributing factor in Apollo Legends' decision to take his own life. And I have always denied that, both in my legal defense and publicly.
What made Karl Jobst think this? I have no idea. But what I do know is Billy Mitchell won the lawsuit and has been awarded a shit ton of money. Karl Jobst recently uploaded a video where he is basically coping. He comes out as a spiteful little bitch, incapable of seeing that people like Billy Mitchell now and everyone hates him, and of course attack Billy Mitchell in the process. Now before we get into the bullshit part of the video, let's get the okay part of the video out of the way. During the last section of the video, Karl Jobst talked about a YouTuber, LUS. LUS is a YouTuber who covered Billy Mitchell versus Karl Jobst, almost uploading every day. He also covered the bankruptcy of Karl Jobst and basically got everything wrong. He also called Karl Jobst and his wife criminal, which is completely wrong. Everything that Karl Jobst did is legal and has been looked over by a trustee. Another part in the Karl Jobst video that was fine was him talking about the second GoFundMe and the reason for the second GoFundMe. After listening to both of the videos, I feel Billy Mitchell has a point, and so does Karl Jobst. I think he was rightful in being scared. In the end, I think the second lawsuit and the reasoning behind it was kind of misleading, but it is what it is, so I will stay away from that section of the video. However, there is something in that section that I would like to talk about.
In July of 2022, Mr. Jobst submitted an application to the court of what effectively amounted as a Hail Mary attempt to dismiss the lawsuit. That didn't pan out for him.
This is such a ridiculous lie that I'm shocked even Billy Mitchell would say something this stupid. But I guess all of these years later he can still impress me. Billy shows a document on screen and claims that I submitted an application attempting to dismiss the lawsuit. What he's showing on screen is an order from the judge. Let's take that same document and scroll it down slightly to see what it says. It says the plaintiff, aka Billy, will further provide security for the defendant's costs of the proceeding in the amount of $15,000. So what is Billy going on about? This has nothing to do with dismissing the case. In July 2022, we submitted an application to require Billy to put down more money as security in the event he loses the lawsuit. Billy is not an Australian citizen, and as such, recovery of any money would be more difficult. So we made the court require him to put up extra money as bond because he refused. And the judge agreed with us and forced him to pay an extra $15,000. What does this have to do with dismissing the lawsuit? It has nothing to do with dismissing the lawsuit. Billy just puts this random order on screen, cuts off the bottom right where it shows what the order is about, and claims I made an application to dismiss the lawsuit. It's just a huge lie.
Now, if you listen to only this clip, you might think Billy is being a bit malicious and showing random documents. But if I let Billy speak a bit longer, something very funny happened.
July of 2022, Mr. Jobs submitted an application to the court of what effectively amounted as a Hail Mary attempt to dismiss the lawsuit. That didn't pan out for him. For the sake of brevity, I'll continue on, but I'll leave an explanation of that application in the description of the video.
Funny how Karl Jobst is accusing Billy Mitchell of doing something that he is doing himself. If you go to the description of the video, Billy Mitchell not only explains what the document is about, but he also explains the reasoning behind why he thought it was a Hail Mary. The description reads, however, in June of 2022, Mr. Jobst asked for an additional $50,000. No fact or circumstances changed in the case to justify this request. I viewed the request as entirely bad faith behavior and refused. In my view, Mr. Jobst was clearly hoping that I could not pay an additional $50,000, and he could then file to dismiss the case on the basis of failure to pay. In my opinion, the reason why Karl Jobst clipped the video this way was to poison the well. But hey, this is just my opinion, and my opinions are optional. Now then, moving on to the bullshit part of the video, one of the biggest misconceptions that people had about this lawsuit was that Billy Mitchell was suing Karl Jobst because of video games, and this misconception was definitely not helped by Karl Jobst showing news articles which were misleading.
My most egregious error was showing news articles about the lawsuit and a news clip which were incorrectly reporting on the lawsuit. I thought it made for good content and it was interesting to see what the news was saying, so that's why I wanted to show it. But I either shouldn't have shown what the news was saying at all, or I should have specifically clarified that it was incorrect if I did. And to be clear, I did not search out incorrect reporting to intentionally mislead people. Clearly, showing a clip and not correcting it is misleading, and I fully appreciate how wrong that is now, but at the time there was simply no correct reporting on the lawsuit whatsoever. Everyone was reporting on it wrong. I wanted to show what the news was saying, but every single news article or post about it was wrong. I wasn't trying to do something nefarious, it was just stupid and thoughtless, and I didn't give my audience enough consideration or respect to make sure they weren't confused. And for that, I am deeply sorry.
First of all, why wasn't there any correct reporting on this matter? It's definitely not your fault, am I right, Mr. Jobst? And more importantly, it is pretty convenient for you, isn't it? After all, saying Billy Mitchell is suing me for video games is a lot better than saying Billy Mitchell is suing me because I lied and said that he pushed someone to commit suicide. In his video, he also talks about how the original retraction should have been in its own video, which I agree with. However, what I'm not letting this guy get away with is this.
And once I realized I was wrong back in 2021, my retraction should have been far better. Again, at the time, I was in denial and I didn't want to believe my mistake was that severe, so I felt as though making a retraction at all was sufficient. And I really did want the video with the retraction in it to get a lot of views. But it really should have been its own video, and not placed at the end of a separate video.
Although he claims that he wanted a lot of people to watch the retraction, he did everything but make sure that it is visible. The video thumbnail has nothing to do with Billy Mitchell. The video's title has nothing to do with Billy Mitchell. In fact, even the chapters have nothing to do with Billy Mitchell. And even before the retraction starts, the screen fades to black as if the video has ended.
Blow my mind. Now, before I finish the video, I would like to take this opportunity to correct something that I said in a previous.
So even saying that you wanted a lot of people to watch the retraction is a complete fucking lie. I will not talk about the original retraction because Karl Jobst himself agrees that it was a shitty retraction. You're welcome. Since we are on the point of retraction, there's something more that I would like to talk about.
On the topic of generous offers, I was the only party to ever make a formal settlement offer during the lawsuit. On the 23rd of May 2022, I offered to settle the lawsuit with the following terms. I pay Billy $3,000, I never repeat the statements he has a problem with, and we both walk away. Now, you might look at this offer and think that $3,000 is not a lot of money.
$3,000. Your generosity brings tears to my eye. First of all, calling this a settlement should be a fucking crime. Second of all, what the fuck were you guys doing during their mediation? But coming back to the point that I was trying to make.
When Billy sued me, I had already removed that section of the video months prior. I had already made a retraction. If Billy wanted a better retraction or a better apology, he could have made his own settlement offer requesting it. I am certain that I would have gladly made a separate video with a better retraction and apology to prevent further litigation. But Billy never asked.
But Billy never asked.
My retraction should have been far better. Again, at the time, I was in denial and I didn't want to believe my mistake was that severe, so I felt as though making a retraction at all was sufficient.
First of all, I don't think it was ever about the money. It was always about you lying and getting you to fix that lie, which you never did. This is the original clip of Karl Jobst accusing Billy of what he did. Although the clip is now deleted, thankfully it is saved in Billy Mitchell's video.
He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all of his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt, which required him to find extra work. But with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life. Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care though.
Source, trust me bro. And when he's proved wrong, he goes on to make a retraction no one will see. And if you hear him talk in the starting of the video, you will get the idea that he never really wanted to make a retraction. And I don't think he would have even made a retraction even if he was asked to. And even if he did, it would probably have been something similar to this video.
Finally accept that in this instance, Billy wasn't lying and his lawsuit against me was not unjustified. I defamed Billy. My actions were unacceptable, and that's why he won. I think Billy is a terrible person. I think he sues innocent people. I think he is a cheater and a compulsive liar.
Moving on, in the next part of the video, Karl is talking about how Billy is basically making jokes at his expense. And then he just devolves into talking about Billy's finances and his company,
Ricky's world famous sauce,
which I will not be talking about here because first of all, I don't believe anything Karl Jobst says. And second of all, why does it matter? You lost. Shut the fuck up already. As to the reason why I don't believe anything Karl Jobst says is because the tactics that he has used during the videos, the poisoning of the well,
Billy just puts this random order on screen, cuts off the bottom right where it shows what the order is about.
And see Billy Mitchell's video, near the end of it, he brings up Karl's Discord messages.
I recently learned that Mr. Jobs plans to engage in a revenge campaign on YouTube by creating videos about me, my family, and my hot sauce company. Imagine that, my family. It seems that the discount code Karl Lost deeply bothers him. On May 5th, 2025, at 3:02 a.m., Mr. Jobs wrote on Discord, "There are two videos that need to be made. One talking about the hot sauce company, one talking about how Billy needs to stand on things to make himself look taller in photos."
And this video came out 3 months ago. And this is exactly what he did in these segments. He's talking about Billy's wife for some reason.
Going on. So I searched through public records and they show that Billy wasn't married to his wife in 1996. Instead, they were married in 2003.
I don't care because honestly this has nothing to do with the lawsuit and frankly nothing to do with the situation, so I'm not going to talk about it. Moving on to his next claim, Karl Jobst is arguing that Billy Mitchell is fantasizing about his death.
I even had to go bankrupt, but that's still not good enough for Billy. Despite all of this, he is still fantasizing about my death.
To a rational person, this is a joke. It is clearly a fucking joke. But since it is Billy Mitchell who has posted it, all of a sudden this is a threat. Funny that it is Karl Jobst saying this because in the same video, this is what he had to say.
Now, do me a favor and quickly read this Discord exchange. Do you think I'm telling the truth here or joking? What about now? Do you think I'm being serious or joking around? If you can't tell and you see me say something dumb on Discord, assume I'm joking, because usually I am. There is a big difference between talking shit on Discord with friends and the real world.
So it is a joke if you say it, but if Billy Mitchell says it or posts it, it's all of a sudden not a joke. And sure, you may argue the joke is kind of distasteful, but hey, who gives a fuck, it's a joke. But Karl Jobst is not done here cause he brings up a screenshot of Billy talking to his friend and making fun of Apollo Legend's death.
This isn't the first time Billy has jerked off to the idea of a YouTuber's death either. Back in 2018, he had heard from his wife that Apollo Legend had died. This was shortly after Apollo made his video exposing Billy's cheating, and Billy was overjoyed. So much so that he messaged his friends, saying that he would try his hardest not to smile or giggle, and even going further, saying that he hoped it was true.
And then he shows a court recording of Billy Mitchell getting cross-examined by Karl Jobst's lawyers. It is a long clip, so I won't play the entirety of it, but I suggest that you guys go and see the entirety of the clip.
If it's true, I will not shed a tear. I will try not to smile or giggle. No promises.
Correct, that's what it says.
And you maintain that that is you not believing he's actually dead.
I didn't believe he was dead for a second.
Why on earth would you say if it is true?
That was dark humor, and I regret it very much.
If it is true, the reference to if it is true is dark humor.
Yes, it's dark humor. I regret doing it. I guess I really regret doing it because it was true 3 years later.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't make a joke then.
Were you thinking about...
If you hear Billy, he genuinely sounds remorseful. He may not be, but he sounds remorseful right now. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons why he won the lawsuit in the end. Compare this to Karl Jobst.
It is because of the people that donated to my GoFundMe and supported my defense that Billy lost $500,000 despite winning. Without the support I received, I wouldn't have been able to defend myself, and Billy would have just steamrolled right over me, hardly spending anything on legal fees himself, and then he would have just moved on to the next person because he would have learned nothing. Because of the public support I received, despite winning, Billy still got destroyed, and I would be very surprised if Billy ever sued anyone ever again.
Congratulations, Karl Jobst. You just made someone lose $500,000 to clear out his name from allegations that you made without any proof. And to the point of his moving on to the next victim, you are the only fucking idiot who made an accusation without any proof. So no, he wouldn't have moved on to someone else. Then he starts to talk about this, which personally I think can go both ways.
At that moment in my deposition, I was discussing the allegations related to video games, not Apollo Legend.
This is entirely false. You see, in my video, I shortened the clip for brevity's sake, but let's listen to what was said immediately beforehand.
Are there any alternative stressors that you've had in your life that are affecting you now?
Just this, and what is a result of this?
Oh, and the other lawsuits, so right?
Oh, you mean like things that resulted from this, like Karl Jobst and David Race? Yes, very much.
They're also causing you emotional distress?
Well, they're not making me happy.
No, I'm asking you though, did the actions that Karl Jobst and David Race and Jeremy Young and Jeff Harris take also cause you emotional distress?
That is minimal compared to this.
Why?
Because this is where it all began.
As you can see, they were discussing lawsuits, not video games, lawsuits.
When Billy says things that resulted from this, he could very easily mean the 10,000 videos that Karl Jobst has made on Billy Mitchell, or he could be talking about the lawsuit, the Apollo Legend lawsuit. But if you listen to the end of the clip, you will hear the lawyers say not only Karl Jobst, he said a few other names.
No, I'm asking you though, did the actions that Karl Jobst and David Race and Jeremy Young and Jeff Harris take also cause you emotional?
And last time I checked, Karl Jobst, fucking idiot, who made a claim to Apollo Legend's death. It is not clear what Billy is talking about here. And Karl Jobst's explanation of this video is probably the most bad faith interpretation you can make. Now we are entering the segment of the video which will show how fucking stupid Karl Jobst really is. Before we get into this, I want you to keep this in mind. Karl Jobst was bankrolled by a fucking billionaire. So I think we all can agree Karl Jobst had one of the best legal representation that he could have found. Karl Jobst is arguing that Billy Mitchell did not do as many appearances as Billy claimed in his lawsuit. And what is his evidence, you might ask?
I think I've had the opportunity at less than a half a dozen. I think, am I really going to say one? I mean, I got one that comes to mind. It was a paid appearance.
But the reality is that Billy made 0 appearances in the 12 months before my video. His last appearance before my video was January 2020, and he had not done a single appearance since then. His first appearance since January 2020 was an appearance at the Music City Multicon in October 2021. Listen to this news report from that same event.
A man dubbed the video game player of the century was in Lebanon this weekend. At Music City Multicon, Billy Mitchell set out to beat every level of Pac-Man and also walk away with a perfect score. News Channel 5's Hannah McDonald was there for Mitchell's first appearance since the pandemic started.
It literally says his first appearance since the pandemic began, which of course is true. And Billy provided no actual evidence that he was doing 15 to 20 appearances per year in my trial. He just said it. And despite no physical evidence, the judge fully believed him and fully accepted his oral testimony as truth, even though it was a complete lie. And what's saddening to me is that I told my barrister to show this news clip which proves Billy was lying, but he refused to do so.
Damn, maybe you should have found better lawyers, eh? Or maybe, just maybe, the clip didn't meet the legal requirement. Nah, you should have gotten better lawyers. And then you have this gold.
Another example, and of course this isn't an exhaustive list, is John Weeks. Billy showed this email in court, which is apparently from John Weeks apologizing for not being able to host Billy at his pinball auction due to my video. And he testified that he lost this gig because of me.
Did you receive any contact from people that had already engaged you to appear at events or conferences or expos?
Mr. John Weeks.
Now, who's Mr. Weeks?
John Weeks is the owner of the Museum of Pinball in Southern California, city of Banning. He had the world's largest collection of pinball machines. And he had arcade games, and he had, for a considerable time, planned on liquidating. And he said he wanted me to host the auction for all of that.
Okay. Did Mr. Weeks contact you after?
He contacted me in July.
Right. And what did he say to you in July?
In July, he told me that as a business decision, he felt he needed to cancel our agreement. And he specifically mentioned, or the specific reason was because of the negativity surrounding me because of the Karl Jobst allegations. I think that's an exact quote to what he said.
Did Mr. Weeks write to you subsequently at all?
Afterwards. I mean, I pleaded with him otherwise. You know, I tried to do what I could do. And I tried to call him back again, but eventually he sent me an email.
However, in the Twin Galaxies deposition, he said that John Weeks cancelled because of Twin Galaxies.
Who else told you that they're canceling your appearance because of the accusations against you?
John Weeks in California.
John Weeks?
Yeah.
Where? What's that for?
Museum of Pinball.
And apparently the fee was going to be $50,000, which is ridiculous and not indicative of what Billy normally receives, as per his Twin Galaxies filings. But it gets even more stupid, because Billy did attend the auction. There is even a news article that shows he was there. Here is a nice picture of Billy promoting it, saying, influential video game legend Billy Mitchell was on hand during the auction at the Museum of Pinball in Banning, September 24, 2021. The email is dated 28th of September 2021. So apparently, even though Billy was at the event and was helping to promote it publicly alongside John Weeks, Mr. Weeks felt the need to email Billy 4 days later, apologizing for not being able to host him at the event.
The last time I checked, hosting an event and being at an event are two very different things. I don't know what Karl is smoking, but I would like some. And even in the deposition that Karl showed, it could very easily go both ways. Billy never said Twin Galaxy was the only reason for the cancellation. And even in the cross-examination by Karl's lawyers, he never specified which accusations he's talking about. Because Karl didn't only made the accusation related to Apollo Legend, he has also made like 200 videos for cheating in video games. Either this entire section is misrepresented by Karl, or he's a fucking idiot who can't even understand what's going on. And let's not forget, you had the best lawyers on payroll. You could have very easily disproven it according to you, but you didn't.
You're 5'7". Cope harder. Try not to stretch the truth.
And then he talks about stress caused from Twin Galaxies and his lawsuit, and it's kind of a contradiction, so I'll give it to Karl. Congratulations, you have something. Up next, Karl Jobst talk about Twin Galaxy and the settlement process that went through. And this slips out a lot easier because Karl Jobst has already poisoned the well, which he made sure to remind us about.
When I settled my lawsuit with Twin Galaxies in January 2024, Twin Galaxies and Mr. Jobs jointly circulated a claim that I remained banned from Twin Galaxies competition. That is a lie. Here is the relevant clause to the settlement agreement with Twin Galaxies. Twin Galaxies will work to include any future score submissions by Mitchell to Twin Galaxies leaderboard, with such submissions having to go through the normal Twin Galaxies adjudication process. So what Twin Galaxies and Mr. Jobs claimed was that even though Twin Galaxies said it would permit future score submissions from me, I remain banned from the Twin Galaxies competition. That just doesn't make any sense.
What does he mean by jointly? I emailed the owner of Twin Galaxies, Jace Hall, asking if Billy was banned. He said yes. Jace even made a public comment himself, saying that Billy was still banned. I don't know what is inside the settlement agreement, but I'm going to believe the owner of Twin Galaxies when he says Billy is banned, not Billy Mitchell, who has already proven in this video that he will put a random document on screen and lie about what it's about. This out of context screenshot could be anything, but even on its face it makes no sense. If Billy isn't banned, why would Twin Galaxies need to work to include anything? If you aren't banned on Twin Galaxies, you can simply make an account and submit a score. Twin Galaxies doesn't need to do anything. If anything, this implies he is still banned in some way, and it's because he is banned that Twin Galaxies would need to do some work in order to get his score submitted.
Oh boy. Let's start from the beginning. Twin Galaxy bans Billy Mitchell, claiming that he cheated. Billy Mitchell sues Twin Galaxies. Billy Mitchell and Twin Galaxy settle out of court. As a part of a settlement agreement, Twin Galaxy has to unban Billy Mitchell from the site and put his scores back in. Karl Jobst messages Twin Galaxies. Twin Galaxies lies and says he is still banned, although he should not be due to the settlement agreement. Twin Galaxies and Karl Jobst both say that Billy is still banned. And after these claims, Billy Mitchell took Twin Galaxies to the court, which Karl Jobst very conveniently left out of the video. And if you let the video play a bit longer, he also explains why Billy Mitchell said jointly.
It would permit future score submissions from me. I remain banned from the Twin Galaxies competition. That just doesn't make any sense. As a result of these claims, I filed a motion to enforce settlement agreement on Twin Galaxies on May 30th, 2024. The court ruled in my favor, and the judge directly addressed this claim by Twin Galaxies as false. Here's what the judge said. I think it's a fair assumption that the intention was to at least allow for the possibility of the plaintiff to submit his scores. To me, this implies that he was not banned. In my opinion, the claim that I remained banned from Twin Galaxies competition was a coordinated effort by Mr. Jobs and Twin Galaxies to spread misinformation. These are just very, very dishonest people.
And here's the thing, if you didn't see Billy Mitchell's video, you would have believed Karl Jobst because he has already poisoned the well. And I agree with Billy Mitchell, these people are very dishonest. And then Karl Jobst for some reason brings up Billy Mitchell's height. I don't know the exact reason why Billy Mitchell stands on paint cans and whatnot, but if I have to guess, it's because that is his brand. He's the gamer of the century and it helps to stand out. And that's where the Billy Mitchell section of Karl Jobst's video ends. In the end, Karl Jobst is talking about the LUS thing, and that's the only good part of the entire video. So do go watch that part because Karl Jobst clarifies a lot of misleading comments that LUS has made. After going down this rabbit hole and seeing both sides, I personally do not believe anything Karl Jobst says, especially when it comes to Billy Mitchell. There is a lot of misinterpretation, poisoning of the well, and I cannot trust anything that comes out of this guy's mouth. So yeah, that's it. Go buy Ricky's hot sauce. Support Billy Mitchell. See ya. Bye.
Meanwhile, you're 5'7". Cope harder. Try not to stretch the truth.